Hello everybody and welcome. And today we are going to be starting on a newer version of Tekla. This is educational version 2018. And to get us started, we're going to do a nice little custom stair. Now for this stair we don't have any drawings to work with, but that doesn't really matter. With any stair, it's always about the purpose or the role that the stair has to fulfill. In this case, that role is going to be basically access. We are going to say that for maintenance purposes, we need access across an obstacle. So more like a small bridge affair. We're going to say it's about 1.5 meters wide. And we're going to say about, say, 800. There we go. Next, let's just turn these two around. And there we've got our obstacle. Now, we need to change the positioning from the bottom to the top. That would be good. And since we don't really need all these other grids, we can get rid of them simply by making these two 0. Yes. Good. Now that we've got our obstacle, let's get a nice side view to start working with. Head on over to View, create a new one by 2 points. Get to the side of this. It's fit. Height-wise, it's not an issue at them. Now, as this is for only very occasional access, let's make it a step ladder instead of a normal ladder. That should also make it a little bit more fun. So, the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a couple of construction lines, and then have a wheel hook over here by 800. Just move that to the side. Let's say we need about 50 clearance just in case something do tend to be higher. So put that one in and let's move it up by about 50. To the sides. There we go, and that should be our boundary lines for the inside of our step ladder, or the lowest points. Next, we'll need to decide on steel. Now, the reason I want to decide on steel before anything else is because I would like to know where the top is for working out my tread heights and such. So, I think good section size to use, just drop it over there, might be something like an 80 angle line. So we are going to say 80 times, let's say 8. In fact, I think that might actually be a little bit thick, so let's make this 6. Press enter, there we go. Now grab it over there and move it up, and that should give us 930. So we are going to take this 930 and we are going to divide it, let's say about 150 per tread. That gives us 6.2. So not quite there. At 900 this would have been perfect, but I really don't want to go less than this 50 clearance. Now, 50 clearance is just something that we decided, so we can make it more if we really want to. In that case, you have to consider what is going to be a nicer way to work, a bit of a higher tread or an odd number to work with. In this case, it's going to be more of a step ladder. I think for the treads, we most likely are going to be using pipe instead of actual flat treads or grating treads, anything like that. So let's see. 930 divided by 60, going up a little bit. That's good enough. So 160 times 7. Let's just move this line down, and we are going to say 160, and we are going to copy this up by a bunch of times. Now, this top one we don't need, and we're going to move it up by that 30. So, now that we've got the top established, we are going to go ahead and, I think, put in the sides. So, again, we are going to be using our construction line, and for this one, we are going to set our work plane. So, go ahead and turn your work plane parallel to view plane so that you can rotate these lines. Now, the easiest, of course, is just to say copy special rotate and do it something like 75, and that would give you a line. So 75 between these two, just grab that one there, and it looks like a fairly steep angle. So since the angle is not that fun to work with and it is going to cause some problems, let's instead do this by distance and have a look at our angle afterwards. We are going to do this minus 100, and we're going to say about 6 of them. Good. Now we can go back to edit and use our angle tool to discover what we have inflicted on the world. 58. That's not too bad of an angle, and since this is a fairly short item, it's not going to be too much of a problem. Let's head on back to the 3D and just quickly take this and rotate it all the way around. Go. Gives us a nice corner to work with, and of course, once we've opened this up, it gives us quite a lovely set of commands over here, as we no longer have our apply and such, but we can copy this stuff over. So let's head on over back to this view. Next, we are going to grab our steel, and we are going to say, going straight down by the line, it's going to start roughly over there. And we are not going to worry about this side, as we will be mirroring it over in due course. Go. Next, I'm going to just quickly set my work plane back to the main one. Now that looks a little bit better. Now, the next question is width. How wide does this need to be for someone to comfortably get up and over? Now, Usually with occasional access, you don't really want to go less than 750 standard, because, well, one full-grown man, woman, or other with a toolbox, that's roughly what you need to get over. Now, in a lot of cases, you can actually go less than that, especially if it's something that's only very rarely going to be used. So for this one, I'm going to say, let's make it 600. And we're going to get a little bit extra from our angle lines as well. So X is 0, Y is going to be 600, with Z again 0. Just grab these two, call this stair. This is going to be, well, rung. And we like to change the color just a little bit, makes it easier to work with. As for the size, we're going to be looking at a pipe, so a CHS, and let's make this 50 by 4 thick. There we go. Back to the side. Let's use our Shift 2 to make this a little bit transparent. And let's head on back to our positioning over here and say, right, we would like it something like that. Yeah, that'll work. And there we go. And of course, because it's straight in line with those two, it's not actually close to the edge, being about 10 away. But this is again perfect, as it'll allow for some welding. Good. Now we're going to take this and just copy it on up. And we'll put one over there as well. Let's quickly find a crank. Close that down. And this one is level with the top, which is perfectly fine with us. Now, once this is done, we don't really need these lines anymore, but I'm not going to delete them for now, so I'm just going to say hide. I'm also going to take this and just get rid of the height completely. In fact, let's put the 800 in. Say this is plus 800, and that way we can show our item is actually where it should be in the clearance. Right, that's it for that. Next we would like a base plate, so let's go on to base. Right over there and align it with the X, so head on over there, let's say minus X, make this 0, modify, and it's currently looking in the correct direction. Now this is not going to take a lot of weight, so a little 6 plate is going to be more than what we need. Let's just have a look there. And of course we are only going to be needing 1 bolt per leg. So let's head on over to bolts, and we're going to say 1 and 1. This is 80, so let's do 50 for now, although I do feel this is not going to be enough, especially considering it's ignoring the size. So we want a little bit over on the sides, therefore 80, 100 should do. and let's make this 120. Right, now we've got a little bit over on the sides, and on this one, if we make it 100, you'll see that it's much less than what we do need because of the angle. So 120, 110, anything along that line should be just fine. Next, our bolts, we are going to be using an M12 chemical anchor, so just a plain chem set or a heel T, anything like that should do. Put in a 4 tolerance, good. And if we go over to anchor and see, change this to bolts. This is on. Right. Let's see what else is needed from this particular piece. Not much. So I suppose we can do the deck. Now the decking is going to be from right over there all the way, not to the edge. We're going to grab that and we're going to say move it back by this 25. Get a little bit less. Next, our space according to these is 600. This will need to stick over a little bit on the sides just to get welded on, and I think we'll always use the same tubing for the handrail. Nice 50 makes everything fairly easy to construct, order for. So let's add 20 aside on this thing's width. So we are going to call this mesh, and we are going to say this is just a plate. Specifically, what we would like is something along the lines of a VT for a checkered plate or a pattern plate at the bottom, or any one of the other ones. Doesn't really matter. You even can take nothing at all, as this won't be steel but instead a component. So let's head on down over here and change this to component. Color wise, let's make this a nice magenta color that should stick out quite nicely, and we're going to say this is 620 wide, and let's make this 3 mil thick. Most likely it'll actually be not 3 mil, less, but that's not important. Now, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to set this to be center. Good, that should do. And of course we want it to be top center. Excellent. Next comes our hand railing. Now, in order to be high enough for the person going over this to grab onto, we require around about 1 meter in height for the hand railing itself. So, what I'm going to do, just to make this easier, is I'm going to grab these two and I'm going to say, right, I need about meter, so 1000, enter, and put them up there. Get rid of that. Next, what I'd like to do is take these two and say, right, I would like it to be below center. Actually, let's make this 0. about rotation, top, middle, behind, and we are going to say this is again a CHS 50 by 4, and railing. And we are going to make this light green. Just press Enter of changing it. Good. Next we'll need one of these for this area over here. Let's just have a quick look at all of this. Right. We'll need one from, well, basically center over here. But we're going to grab the tip. We are going to plonk it down straight. Next, we are going to say we would like it to be middle on both sides, and we are going to move it until it touches. So first things first, grab there with a control point, go to the side and head on back in. Now besides that control point, we'll need about, I'd say, 10 or 6 more, just enough to give us a bit of space for welding. And now that we are on edit, we can just go say fit end, grab this and cut it along that line. Now as you can see, it's a fairly offset over here, but that's not going to matter. As soon as we crank it, it will look exactly, well, it'll look decent at least. Next, we'll also need one over here. Easiest, just grab this, the copy, and let's first put it right over there. And we're going to say, besides that 50, let's move it in by something like 75 or 100. Around about there, that should do. Now over here, we will need to shape this. So let's head on back to our 3D view and grab this, say, create a view on top. Yeah, that looks about right. Grab that point, drag it down some, so round about the middle, and in fact you could actually put it right over there, a little bit less in the middle. Let's make this around number 10 should do, as most of this area is going to be affected by welding anyway. After that's done, we are going to do a poly cut along those 3 points and change this over here to be an arc. That gives us a nice little bit of a rounding, and if you really want to, you can just grab this line and extend it some. So for example, if you extend it by, say, to make this clear, make it easier, 2 millimeters, and then just do the same. Both ends. Now with something like this, that is going to be more than enough of a fit. In fact, you can shorten this even more, right up to that edge over there. So grab there, just grab that point, only in the Z. And that means they're really only just shaving off the inside. And the rest is going to be filled up with welding. Quite an easy cut to make, given the right tools and the right people. That gets welded on. That gets welded on. Same with these. Now, this looks fairly confusing and yeah, not the best neatness wise. So let's grab everything except our floor plate. Easiest to do this would be just double click on selection of parts, do an area selection and deselect these two with control. Now we want to move everything towards us by half of the width of the pipes, which is 300. Sorry, half the length of these pipes. That should give us roughly where we want to be. And now we are going to do our selection with just our hand railing, and we are going to move this out to right on the edge. Now, you don't want to move this all the way. Basically, what we need to do is get it right on the edge. So let's move it back by 25, and then we want to move it in by a little bit more, just to give it enough space for welding. So another 10 should do, as it's going to be a nice 6mm weld, a bit of space over just for nicety, and that'll give us a good set of clearances everywhere. Now, besides that, we want to do it of course on the other side, and of course on this here side. So let's head on back to this side, where we can grab everything over here, and we are going to be, this is see-through, copy this mirrored over to the other side, give that a copy, so that we've got it everywhere there. Selection again, and then we are going to do the exact same thing. Grab everything on this side, copy it over center, and we've got a nice little stair both sides. Only thing missing here would be something like a kick flat, so that when you're walking over this, you can keep yourself from stepping through, falling through this gap over here. So let's head on over and add our kick flat. Good. Now, luckily we still have it loaded up here. We don't need a 130 by 10 plate. 6 by 100 would do. Center be nice over there, center over there. We do not need this component. This 355JR standard steel would do, but we do not need that to be in the air, as it'll be right up against it. And this is a normal plate, so P would do as well. That looks fairly good from the side. Now let's go fix it over here. So firstly what we'll do is just move it over to one side. Doesn't really matter which side we move it to. Then we're going to grab that and move it to the outside of our pipe over here. And then of course mirror it over to the other side. boss tear. Once that's done, a quick spot of welding to get everything nice and in order. Let's delete this, that. We no longer need these lines. And we can either delete this large piece in the middle, or we can keep it. Doesn't really matter either way. I think I'm just going to delete it, as it's a little bit in my way. Now, of course, part marks will need to be fixed, so let's these two will be plates. This I'm just going to make X as it is a component. Now let's grab these over there. This one over here. That one over there. Hopefully that is everything. Now with this interesting new method of being able to fix stuff or not being able to fix stuff, it is very important that it's done right from the start. So setting this stuff up is going to be even more important in future projects. Let's just grab that, set it as the main part of the assembly. Stuff's not welded together. Let's just weld that stuff in the middle. Right. Stuff's now welded, so grab this one. Okay. Now we just do an Alt select, and that should be everything. Just to be safe, I'm going to say hide. Everything is hidden. It's good. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.